Drake, who we've been talking a lot about lately, has a song called Pop Star, and Justin Bieber stars in the music video. And the reason that the line, "You would probably think my manager is Scooter Braun, yeah, Ariana, Selena, my visa," goes so hard is because Scooter Braun is impeccable at telling us who the next pop star is, and then that's it. If you've been following me for a few months now, you know that I had an over 100-part series where we talked about Justin, Selena, and Haley. It started with the love triangle, it ended with a Hillsong expose. A lot of people dragged me through the mud and said that I was vapid and that I was shallow and why don't I talk about more important things, but anybody who actually watched the series knows that we covered quite a lot in that series, including things like religious abuse, how exploitative the industry is, the entertainment industry. And it's just so funny because I've wanted to delete that series so many times and then it just becomes relevant again, including the conversation we're having today about Scooter Braun, Justin Bieber's manager. There's a lot of breaking headlines about Scooter Braun losing all of his most lucrative clients. Personally, I think he cannot for the life of him support talent longevity and brand recognition, even if that person comes in with a built-in die-hard audience. Initially, my immediate thought was, oh, there's definitely some suspicious financial activity going on because we know that allegedly Scooter likes to exploit and take advantage of the mentally ill and the God-fearing and the overlap of the two. In that series, I talk a lot about how there's a blurring of the lines that Scooter Braun, somebody who's named after a child's toy, becomes more of a friend to his clients or a father than a manager. I don't think it's a coincidence that the biggest names that he managed are all fatherless people that clearly have struggled with things like addiction or mental health, who wouldn't when you're in the public eye the way that they are, especially from your youthful years. Just a tip, if you ever find yourself saying, oh, it's Scoot, he's not threatening, he's not my manager, he's my friend, you're already in the danger zone. Especially if you have to use your own fame and influence to defend your manager's faulty business decisions as makeshift PR. As if you're casually defending your bestie for making a mistake and saying something stupid when it's literally millions of dollars on the line, knowing that your diehard fans are gonna go after whoever your manager screwed over. A successful manager is supposed to manage the image of their clients and make sure that they're safe, protected, defend them in the public eye. And time again with Justin, Ariana, and Demi Lovato, a lot of people who don't always really have ever incredible press about them have all crashed and burned in the public eye multiple times, which I feel like it's hello, does anybody work here? Leads me back to my conclusion that I think Scooter Braun is really good at onboarding people that have already made a name for themselves and putting them in the spotlight a bit more so we can talk about them and recognize that this person is famous, but then not be able to even name some of their songs or not even hear about them after that first initial push. I know who Tori Kelly is from her own YouTube video that went viral, but then when she signed to Scooter Braun, I still know who Tori Kelly is, and a lot of other people do, but can you name a Tori Kelly song? And that's not shade to Tori Kelly, that's shade to her manager. Anyways, I think all of the business partnership separations are not as immediate as they seem. I don't think all three of them woke up last night and said, I'm going to break my deal with Scooter Braun. Anything, I think it's been a long time coming for all three of them, and it's probably been a collaborative agreement to separate from each other. There was a blind item that Scooter got Justin into a bad business deal, and Scooter strikes me as one of those people too who wants to I don't even know how to explain this, talks the talk and maybe doesn't walk the walk as well as his competitors or other people that are in the same industry as him. I feel like he's a crypto groupie person because we also saw Justin Bieber get into NFTs, which have sufficiently lost pretty much all their value since he was pushing them. I would argue that the only thing that would lead to these, separations all happening at the same time is that money was played with. Literally all ethics can be out the window. Somebody could be racist, sexist, homophobic, literally a predator, but as long as it is a financially lucrative and fulfilling relationship, it's probably going to withstand those things. I do think it was financial, especially because we haven't had new music from Ariana in a long time. We haven't had new things from Justin Bieber in a long time. He canceled his tour. Demi Lovato, I believe, has had music out, but it's when we hear, oh, this celebrity has been quiet lately, we haven't heard from them. It's not because they're actually being quiet. They're still alive and living. Just because their management or their team isn't pushing them as hard as they used to. There's nothing to push. People think that allegedly Scooter sold Taylor Swift's masters and encouraged Justin Bieber to sell his own masters because Scooter Braun had some money to pay back in his own, business decision. Maybe he's gotten himself in trouble. I don't know. I think worst case scenario, if this is something where they're all like, you know, being brave and pulling out at the same time, maybe we'll get some really nasty tea on Scooter Braun, but I kind of just don't feel like that's the case, other than maybe just hearing that he was like very unethical as a boss or had a very like hostile workplace, which that's literally anybody with that much money and power. If that's the case and Scooter has just sucked all of his clients dry and he's on to the next venture that's going to be more like financially promising for him, I do think it's a funny coincidence when we talked about in the really long series how Stephen Baldwin, when he was broke, all of a sudden really started pushing Hailey into Justin's arms and into just the public eye in general with the Jenners. Was allegedly in a lot of debt at the time, and that's the thing about these people that have so much money is yes, they have so much money, but they're also like really risky when it comes to like tax evasion and doing things illegally. And when they get wrapped up in some really crazy shit, who do you lean on? The people that are the cash cows for you. That is a whole nother conversation with Stephen Baldwin, who is Hailey Baldwin's dad, and that could be down the rabbit hole again of a alleged, supposed, hypothetical conservatorship. Especially now that we know Lou Taylor's in the picture. Very interesting. To my understanding, Scooter has kind of decided to put all of his eggs in one basket and is no longer being a talent manager, at least for the clients that he's had thus far, and decided to go full throttle into Hybe, which is Hybe. To my understanding, Scooter Braun, I think, merged Ithaca Holdings with Hybe back in 2021, which is kind of around the time that we stopped hearing from Ariana and Justin. Ithaca Holdings, I believe, also included SB Projects, which is what Ariana, Demi, and Justin were a part of, so that got merged into Hybe as well. Scooter became the sole CEO of Hybe America earlier this year, so like I don't think this is sudden or overnight at all. I think he's been trying to do this for a while and is now just making like the final, you know, tying up of loose ends. Enzo Yoon is also like the really big superpower behind BTS in terms of Hybe. So I think what this is just like two very powerful people coming together and becoming more powerful. And there's something about the people that have this sort of itch. It's the Scooter Brauns of the world. It's the Kris Jenners of the world. It's the Jeff Bezos of the world. Like they are insatiable when it comes to money and power. I read an article that said it was Lenzo Yoon's role to essentially like localize the K-pop business model in the American music industry. I'm laughing at that because I feel like, at least from maybe what I'm assuming, it's a lot less ethical with K-pop stars. I'm really not in the K-pop realm, so this is like a very uneducated, uninformed statement to make, but to my understanding, at least from a few years ago, aren't they like ridiculously overworked and like labor laws are, you know, non-existent with them? Seeing how Scooter Braun's clients over the years have struggled so much with mental health and seemingly never got a break, it's giving she and Brand Trip they're not even sweating. I talked about this in the really long series I did too, is that there's always this like statement in child star documentaries where they're like, they never even stopped working, like they just always wanted to work, they never took a break, they were always working. It's always like described as this super glamorized thing, like this 18-year-old pop star just can't stop working. Yeah, they're on drugs and they need help and they're breaking labor laws. Demi Lovato couldn't stop working. That girl was just always going so hard, always singing. She was on coke. Justin Bieber always had all the energy. He was always like the funniest in the room. He had ADHD, but he was also on drugs. Whoever works closely with Ariana Grande, I would say, is a little bit smarter because it's more private. I'm sure Ariana Grande is a little screwed up in the head. I think we can all empathize with that, but at least it looks like it's more behind closed doors. Scooter has like a bunch of other clients as well. It's not to say that those three are, you know, his only clients, but they are his heavy hitters in the sense that they were already famous before he started working with them. That's why it's so interesting, because it seems like he's really good at picking people up, but then just putting them back down and not supporting the talent long term. Would be exciting to see that, you know, some ridiculous tea comes out about Scooter Braun and that's why all of his clients ran away overnight. I don't think that's the case. I don't think Scooter Braun is an idiot. I think he understands how the media cycle works, so I think that it's relatively safe that all of this attention is coming out about him because people are going to be really watching his next step, which could absolutely be him like signing the next big thing. He might just be parting ways for a new venture but keeping, you know, the contracts that are already established running. Astrologically speaking, Uranus is currently opposite his natal Lilith in Scorpio, so there could be some financial secrecy there. Neptune is square his Neptune. That's a lot of dreaminess, haziness, things happening behind closed doors, missing information, deception. Next year, I would keep an eye on him for summer, like July, August, September, because that's when Uranus is going to be opposite Uranus, which is the midlife crisis struggle. Usually induces a very big change. Kim Kardashian is also having this. I think it's just introducing a very big pivot and he's adapting to the market. I'm very interested to see what happens with Justin, Ariana, and Demi and what their next step is.